Welcome! In this video, we'll set up PowerTable for SCD Type 2 and Type 3 data. PowerTable can track change history for slowly changing dimensions using both techniques, and each can be configured in just a few steps. We'll walk through them separately using an example for each. But first, let's go over the prerequisites. For Type 2 SCDs, PowerTable tracks the history of the entire row. To do this, you'll need, at minimum, an identity column as the primary key to serve as the surrogate key, a non-nullable column as the business key for each record, a pair of date columns for the start and end dates, and a Boolean column to flag active records. Type 3 SCDs are simpler. Instead of tracking the full row, they track only the previous values of the columns you choose. For every column you want to track, you'll need a corresponding history column to store that prior value. No identity column required here, since new rows aren't being inserted. Let's start with SCD Type 2. We'll connect to a table in our Fabric SQL Database and set this up. Before we proceed, let's jump to our Fabric SQL Database and verify that the table has the right constraints in place. Our identity column has a primary key constraint. The business key has a not null constraint. We have our two date columns, effective and end dates, and the active flag column. We're good to go. PowerTable detects the database constraints automatically. The one manual change we need to make is setting the active flag column's input type to checkbox. With our columns configured, we toggle on SCD support and select Type 2. Most fields are auto-mapped. We just need to manually assign the start and end date fields to their respective dropdowns. There's one additional option here, the default value for end dates on active records. You can set these to null or to an indefinite date. We can also scope history tracking to specific columns rather than all columns. Our table is now set up and ready for SCD Type 2 tracking. Let's see it in action. Once configured, PowerTable handles our history tracking in SCD Type 2 format automatically. It'll only show our active records to keep the view clean. One thing worth noting here, with SCD Type 2 tracking active, you don't need to manually insert a new row when a value changes. Just edit the existing record and save. PowerTable takes care of the rest, automatically invalidating the old row and inserting the updated record in the underlying database. PowerTable has created a new row with our changes. Notice the surrogate key has changed from the previous record. In the underlying database, both rows are preserved, the new row marked active, and the old row's end date updated accordingly. Now let's set up PowerTable for SCD Type 3. This time, we'll create a new database table and import our data from a CSV file. For Type 3 tracking, no identity column is needed. For every column we want to track, we have two corresponding columns in our table, one holding the current value and one that will retain the previous value when a change is made. We enable SCD tracking and select Type 3. Remember, Type 3 tracks only the current and previous value for a column, not the full history. For each column we want to track, we map the source, its current value, and the history column that will store the previous value. We'll configure this for all four columns. Our table is now configured for SCD Type 3 tracking. Let's see how this works. Just like Type 2, PowerTable handles Type 3 history tracking automatically. All we do is update the current value. PowerTable automatically moves the old value into the history column. And that's SCD Type 2 and Type 3 tracking in PowerTable, each configurable in just a few steps, with history managed automatically from there.